So let's get started. Let's start from the top here. Um, so our first question is, a student took organic chemistry at UC San Diego's Division of Extended Studies in the summer and got an A. That's good. That's really good, actually, because organic chemistry is pretty advanced. Should the student submit while applying to college? Submit it as supplemental information? No. So on the common application, there's a place for you to put which colleges you took coursework from. But there's not a place for you to put the grade or the course. So the protocol is for you to ask the program, in this case, UC San Diego's extension program, to go ahead and send the transcript to whichever schools you're applying to. Not all schools will want that, though, so you will have to check on which schools you're applying to, right? So the UCs, for example, will not accept those. There is a place, though, on the UC application for you to do so. Okay, so it would be good for you to maybe just email or reach out to each of the colleges you're applying to see how they want that information. But usually it's the transcript that you'd want to send. Next is, I've been serving as an officer for my school's math club, and I also founded a math club at a nonprofit. Should I combine these two in a single activity on a common app? No, right? So they're distinct enough because the common app will also ask you for which organization you did the activity. So it's not really going to be possible for you to put both your school and the nonprofit, right? So I think those are distinct enough activities where they should count as two separate spots. Okay. Now, don't forget, if you run out of space, if you're past or you're already at the 10 activities that the Common App allows you to, you can most definitely use the additional information section at the end of the Common App. It's the section right below where you paste your essay. So you can click yes on the option to describe additional qualifications or circumstances, right? So use that space to elaborate. Okay. Next is, I worked on one independent project without my mentor. Would that be considered a research project at all to be listed in Common App? It depends on the rigor of it. If you don't think it was necessarily all that, impressive or that complex, you could put it in the additional information section. But if you feel like it was sufficiently rigorous and it's certainly something that would make you look good for your major, then you could put it in the activity section. It's hard for me to know based on the actual nature of the actual project itself. Okay. Next is, I attended ASDRP. That's the Aspiring Scholars Directed Research Program. That's the one that's based in Fremont, right? In summer, can I list as one of my activities in the Common App? I understand that it's not super prestigious. Oh, wow, you don't know, right? We had a student last year, actually, who got into Stanford doing 3 years of ASDRP research as this person's main research credential. So no, I mean, don't worry about the name brand. Colleges don't correlate where you did your research with the rigor and the quality of the research. So if your ASDRP project was sufficiently rigorous and there's like pretty good outcomes, that's the most important thing. So if you think that that's one of your most important activities where you devoted a lot of time, for sure, I would put it as one of your activities. Okay. So like I said, hey, if Stanford feels that like sufficiently worthwhile, then you should probably too, depending on like how much you were able to do for that activity. Okay. Next, as a junior, I'm taking AP Calculus at my high school. I already took AP Calc BC test earlier and got a 5 because I'm pretty advanced in math and wanted to take post AP math. In this case, shall I take the AP Calculus BC test again in May? No, there wouldn't be a need. Okay. Yeah, so that's fine. So you could just go ahead and report that when you actually took it. Okay. It's not, I mean, it's not common, but it's not also that unheard of for people to sometimes take the test before the class. Remember, the test is not seen as duplicative of the actual course. Colleges would still prefer that you take the course anyway. Okay, so sure, it's slightly out of sequence, but it's not all that irregular. So I wouldn't worry about it. I would just report it on the date that you have it. There'd be 0 point for you to take the test again. That would just be kind of silly. Okay. Next is, my son is taking AP Chinese this sophomore year, but I really want him to continue learning Chinese instead of stopping it at AP. I know that AP credits can be taken by some colleges like the UCs. How about after? Can my son take leveled up Chinese college or college Chinese? Okay, keep in mind that AP Chinese is the equivalent of fourth year Chinese. Normally, for most community colleges, for instance, or colleges, Chinese 1 is the equivalent of first year Chinese, which is at a semester basis. So if there are programs that you can find with like a Chinese 4 or 5, maybe that could be viewed as more advanced, but Chinese 2 or 3 would simply duplicate the information that they already learned up to and including AP Chinese. Okay. Next is my dad has high W-2 income, so I won't be qualified for any financial aid. But can I still apply for ED and decline if I won't receive a scholarship for them? I want to go to any top 30 school as long as one provides me a scholarship. That's not a reason to decline ED, by the way, right? So it's not like you do not have discretion over like, oh, you're not giving me a scholarship, so therefore I don't want to go. If you look at the fine print of an ED agreement, it's only if the school does not match whatever is your recognized financial need. So if you applied for a FAFSA and they say you don't get any aid, right? So that means that they're under no obligation to give you aid and you have to honor the ED agreement. Okay. So definitely really look into ED before you do that. You make that decision, obviously. Okay. So it is not at your discretion, right? It is a very, very specific circumstance when a school does not provide you whatever the federal guidelines say that you're supposed to get. Okay. Next is if my kids get into the UCs and we parents move out of California, can we still pay in-state tuition for the remainder of the years? Uh, that's tricky. You'd have to check. I don't think so, though, if you're no longer there because they're still dependents on your FAFSA. So if you change your state of residency, you might not qualify for in-state tuition anymore. Okay, but I mean, I would check directly with the UCs on that, but my inclination would be to say no. But that's not technically my field, so you definitely want to check with the UCs. Okay. Next is what are the chances of admission if a student applies ED? How does a student apply for RD in a top 10 university if they qualify to swim Division 3? How to contact coach? How hopeful is that? Well, there's a lot of things there. It depends on how strong your student's ability is in D3. It will obviously vary tremendously based on like, other factors too, because D3, they're not giving you a scholarship. So it's really just like, are you really strong for it? Obviously, it also depends on how strong their academic credentials are, because if it's a D1 situation, then obviously the talents in swimming are going to take precedence there. But it's really a matter of like how much pull the coach has with admissions, for instance, right? So I would say the best way to start this is have your student contact or talk to their college, or not the college coach directly, but their high school coach first to help advise them in how to do that. They should also create a file for NCAA. There's a way for them to sort of like initiate contact and have like a profile already to be able to kind of like establish contact. So I would definitely look into that. Okay. Next is what research should a political science major do? How about a business management major? Okay, so business management isn't really inclined too much towards research. I think what you should be looking for there would be internships. There are poli-sci research internships, but it's pretty hard to get because oftentimes it's not something that high schoolers would have the background to be able to actually help with the research. I would suggest that if you wanted to do some political science research, that your best bet is to really try to hone your skills on data science and data analysis, maybe even some programming with a programming language called R, because that way you can actually be of assistance to some political science professors, perhaps, in terms of the actual substance of the research itself. Okay. A little harder to come by. Like most like actual research internships are going to be a little bit more skewed towards STEM, of course. But there are some programs out there. You can also just contact poli-sci professors directly and try to see if there is an opportunity where you could be a research intern for them. Okay. All right. And that is pretty much all the questions we have for tonight. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll see you all next week.